Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and Judo may seem very similar in belt structure in that they start off with a white belt and then hopefully 10 years later you wind up with a brown and then a black. But the belts in between can look very different. Let's go ahead and talk today about the difference in the belt ranking systems between Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and Judo and why I'm mid in both sports. Hi, I'm Desiree Lussier-Levesque, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu coach, competitor, and Judoka. Welcome to my channel, The Purple Belt Diaries. Today we're just going to talk about the adult belt systems because I don't want to overly complicate things. At the time of making this video, I have a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and a blue belt in Judo. And some have asked me about my blue belt in Judo, thinking it's the equivalent of a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and it is not. The reason that the blue belt in Judo and the blue belt in Jiu Jitsu are not the same is because of the time frame at which you receive the belts would be different, and the place in the ranking system is also very different. In Judo, there are more lower belts to get to the blue than there are in Jiu Jitsu. The blue belt is actually the last belt before the brown belt if you're in a grading system that has the blue belt. In Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, the belt progression, which I'm going to use the IBJJF standard, goes white belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, and then black belt. And that's about as high as we're going to go for today's video, just to save time. Anything above that, going to be pretty rare. Within the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu system, the time can somewhat vary by how long it takes to progress through these belts, although many schools do abide by minimum requirements for time in a belt and mat time, while the instructor typically has a way of grading or making a decision based on what he sees from the student as well. Oftentimes, progression through a belt in Jiu Jitsu is marked by belt stripes. Each belt can receive up to 4 stripes. Many schools do give stripes for white belts, but some drop the stripes altogether after someone has reached the blue belt level or maybe after they've reached purple, only to resume it again at black. In Judo, the belt ranking system goes a little bit differently. It's white to yellow, yellow to orange, orange to green, green to blue, or depending on where you are located and the organization that oversees the belt promotions or writes the standards for the belt promotions, you might go from green to brown and then brown and black. This also goes by Q, so 6Q, 5Q, 4Q, all the way up to first. And then once you hit black belt, that's a first dan, and then second dan, etc. Now again, there is a minimum amount of time that you have to spend in a belt with a minimum amount of mat hours or classes that you have to attend to receive your belts in Judo. However, in Judo, it tends to have a bit more of an objective standard with regards to the promotion system. In the US, there's the United States Judo Association and USA Judo that have their own regulatory promotion systems. And then in Canada, this is done by Judo Canada, and in Quebec specifically. So Quebec also has their own system, which is based on the Judo Canada system. My Judo belts aren't from the United States. I can't really speak too much to that. But here in Canada, we have 2 tracks for promotion. One is the technical track, which is earned via testing. So you would have to memorize specific throws, specific hold downs, specific submissions, and demonstrate that you know a specific set to get your next belt level when the time comes for the test. Black belts also require a certain number of points. These points, if on the technical track, can be acquired through various means such as refereeing, competition, kata, etc. The second track is the competition track, and for that track, obviously, you receive your belt after your minimum time based on your performance in competition. There's also some additional requirements to this when getting your black belt, such as kata. But for all intents and purposes, the bulk of your points, if you're on the competition track, are going to come from competition. You would need to receive 100 points at the national level or higher for your promotion. That would be 10 points for each ippon and 7, I believe it is, for each wazari. And why I'm mid in both sports is because both the blue belts in Judo and the purple belt in Jiu-Jitsu are intermediary belts. They're pretty much midway through. The next step for both is going to be, of course, my brown belt. I'm still quite a bit away from a black belt in either. And right now I'm okay to be mid. So I hope you enjoyed this explanation for the difference between the Judo and Jiu-Jitsu belts. If you did enjoy this video or found it useful, please feel free to share and check out some of my other content. Also, please don't forget to hit that like, that subscribe, and maybe even that notification bell. It all really helps out the channel. If you have any corrections or additions, please go ahead and drop them in the comments, or maybe you're not from the US or Canada, or your school grades a little bit differently. Let us know how it's done where you are. Or maybe you don't think your purple belt is mid. Tell us why in the comments down below. Thanks for joining. I'll see you next time. Bye.